Before they changed their names and published games for people that doesn't touch grass, Namco has been one of the most household names in the gaming industry for a very long time, right up there with the likes of Nintendo, Sega, and Rockstar before they stabbed everyone in the back. Namco has been known for releasing and publishing a lot of games from the 1970s all the way to the mid-2000s. Games that you might know such as Tekken, the Ace Combat series, and who can forget the Street Racing Syndicate game.
Hi. That looks like a pretty fast car. But driving fast isn't hard, any idiot can do that. But driving with style? Now that's where you see who the men are and who—
I love corn.
Now I'm fucking with you. It's the Ridge Racer series. The Ridge Racer series debuted in 1993 for the arcade, but didn't really hit homes until 1994 and 1995 for the PlayStation. And to be honest, it's nothing really special. There was only one track that you can race on. It was painfully bare bones to say the least. But over the years, they made more and more games since people liked it. And there are others I think it's just a stupid arcade racer. I, for one, never played a single Ridge Racer game in my life, so I can't really say anything whether the game is good or not. But in the early 2000s, after Ridge Racer 5 was released, Namco decided to make something that was more grounded than playing an arcade game. Something that was more like Gran Turismo, since the third game came out in 2001, and that game was really pushing the boundaries for racing games at the time, before they ruined everything with the online-only shit. But at the same time wanted to be enjoyed by everyone that doesn't really care about simulation racers all that much. That being R Racing Evolution, one of their underrated titles, and according to some fans is part of the Ridge Racer franchise for whatever reason. The game came out in 2003 for the Xbox, PS3, and GameCube, only this time focusing on real life auto racing with recognizable cars and tracks. People did like the game for what it was. However, critics had mixed opinions, stating that it's just another racing game and it gets dull over time. Because we all know journalists are always right at everything. I'm looking at you, Polygon, you fucking snakes. Plus, while people like it for what it is, the sales were very, very low to say the least when you compare it to other Namco games. And the game never got a sequel to this very day. Now, at first I thought this game was just going to be Dead or Alive Extreme with the likes of auto racing with girls that doesn't know how to zip up their racing suits. Okay, that's not far from the truth. But it turns out that I had a lot of fun with this game, although there are a lot of problems with it at the same time. So in this retrospect, we'll be dissecting every bit of this game and what it has to offer and what makes it so special.
This is for Rachel, you big, fat, white, nasty, smelling, fat bitch.
In this world, you follow a young woman that goes by the name of Rena. You see her driving an ambulance to transport someone to the hospital, while some guy in a racing jacket that goes by the name of Stefan, telling her to stop driving like a grandma and find some shortcuts, so the guy in the back won't die of the they pussy or something, I don't know. After that ordeal was done by driving like a complete retard, Stefan finds out that Rena's driving skills were outstanding. It's to the point where he offers her to participate in a race while handing her a business card. After that said race was done, she was immediately hired and begins training to fulfill her Danica Patrick dreams. But little did Rena know that she's working for an organization that goes by the name of GVI, who owns a lot of racing teams and hosts private events every few years, so other racing teams can compete with each other. Wow, that sounds something oddly familiar, now does it? Also, they simple are VTubers.
And this is another favorite, Rena, from Stefan's set. She's a beauty, ain't she?
Oh, I heard she's excellent.
After being trained on how not to crash into a wall, Rena meets a woman that goes by the name of Gina and asks what team Rena was on. Rena, being a dumbass and not remembering, Gina just brushed it off and wishes Rena good luck on the track. Or a low-key threat, because soon later Gina shares her hatred for GVI for sucking the fun out of the sport and doing it all for money, and sets up a rivalry between the two. In all honesty, kind of feels forced and unneeded, but does help to tell Rena what racing really is. Later on in a shower scene, Rena begins to have more of this taste for GVI for ruining everything. It's to the point where she's told to place second place to please one of the higher-ups that came and please their wives. A few days later, after taking a nice vacation and winning championships, a man that goes by the name of Eddie, one of Stefan's mechanics, wants to propose something to him, wanting to start their own racing team without the influence of GVI getting in the way of everything, and telling Rena to write their name on a board or start on a fucking hot tub stream or something stupid like that will cost her reputation. Eddie convinced Stefan to start his own racing team again, but in order to leave, they have to win a race that was ordered by GVI. If they lose, they have to play Need for Speed Payback for the rest of their fucking life. Obviously, they won and everyone lives happily ever after until they bomb the Pentagon. Overall, I think the story is fine for a racing game. It does dive into certain things that no one really care about, but the presentation is not good at all. It just feels like they leave out certain details and we don't really know the characters all that much, and they do feel a bit static at times and not do anything that's important, and it just feels like you're looking through Rena's perspective way too much. It feels like she never changed throughout the game. But I will say the voice acting is great. There are some voices that I recognize, such as Michael McConaughey playing as Stefan. He does an amazing job and brings the character to life.
Every 2 years, GVI pits its own teams against each other in a top-secret competition. The results determine the ranks of the teams. You place well, and we'll get more work.
If you don't know who he is, he played in a lot of cartoons and video games that you might recognize. I mostly know him for playing as the therapist guy from Silent Hill Shattered Memories and a few characters from Samurai Champloo. And Christopher Blevins playing as Eddie. He does okay.
Look at the time! We need our damn racer! Where the heck is he?
Well, he is a she, and I'm right here. The name's Rena. You must be Eddie.
Are you kidding? This is our racer? No, no, and no!
I mostly know him for playing as Kenji from the Funimation dub of Initial D.
Women can't drive!
So he did fine. Oddly enough, they never bothered to credit them, so I don't know who played Gina and Rena. They did their part fine. Rena did sound a little dry at times, but whatever. I'm not surprised considering that most racing game protagonists have the personality of an empty water bottle, but overall the story is fine. It does its job, unlike what I've seen recently anyways. Have you guys ever played a little game that's called Grid Legends? I sure as hell haven't. For starters, the driving aged very well, and it's pretty fun to do and kind of refreshing with key aspects. First off, Stefan would guide you and tell you what's going on and give certain information on what's going on the track at all times, and tells you how you should drive like a professional as well. If you take the corner correctly, he'll praise you for driving like you always should. Or if you drive like a blind person, he'll scald you. And you can apply pressure on opponents. By doing this, you have to drive very close to them, get the bar to the red, and they'll fuck up and hit a wall or spin out. Some of them take time and others take like 2 seconds flat. And I love this feature a lot. It gives the game more personality, a room of fresh air. Is it a bit gimmicky and makes the races kinda easy considering that you just do one task? Yeah, but I think it's funny as hell to see someone fuck up and yell about it on the radio. Plus, it's fun to do. There are other events in this game, but they're kinda underwhelming. We have rallying, where you're up against the clock and you have to get from point A to point B really fast, which is fun for like 5 minutes, but it gets really stale really quick, since there's no other trails that you can race on. And we have drag racing. And it's really so godforsakenly boring to do. It's so easy, it's not even funny. The game gives you a nitrous button to press in order to finish the race even faster. So what was the point of adding this mode in the first place if the game is going to give you a handout at the end? That I don't know. These two events get very underwhelming to do and it just gets boring after a while. I would have been fine if the game just focused on circuit racing only and just ignored the other modes. Plus the track selection is very lackluster to choose from, ranging from Suzuka, both full and short versions, Motegi Super Speedway and only Super Speedway, Phillip Island Grand Prix, and Circuit de Monaco, or as I like to call it, Hellhole. The car selection is very interesting and consists of those you might recognize from other games. Yes, I said other games. Or if you're interested in the history of racing, ranging from Super GT classes, drag cars, which is just a challenger, and that rally cars, private or classic cars, and prototype or 24 hours of Le Mans cars. Some of them handle fine and others handle like complete and other shit. Most notably, the Calisonic Skyline always likes to spin out, which is the same considering that's one of my favorite cars in Super GT. I wish they added more recognizable cars like the Castrol Super and the Pennzoil Skyline or any other cars that people fall in love with. And not to sound like someone that does nothing but complain about engine sounds in a racing game, because I'm not a 12-year-old or someone that never felt the warmth of the woman in their entire life, but I gotta say the engine sounds in this game is pretty bad. They all sound like spaceships and it's really uncanny to me, but I can kinda gloss over it since I play racing games for the gameplay, not for a car that sounds like a Japanese porno. While you're playing the game, you can earn RP by driving fast, power sliding, jumping, or getting the fastest lap. RP can be used to get new cars in the other campaign mode that you can unlock or upgrade your car of choice or enter an event. It's okay, it's just kinda there for you to something to do. The only gripes I have with this game is the camera. It's way too static and it sticks way too close to the car. And there's only 2 camera views, that being the bumper view. And the physics at times are not the best, and I wish there was more tracks to play on. But other than that, I really like the gameplay so far. I just wish it was a little bit more fleshed out. I will probably get murdered if I didn't even remotely talk about the soundtrack for this game, because in all honesty, this is one of my favorite soundtracks in any video game ever. And this was made by the same people that did the soundtrack for the Ridge Racer games, but instead it was replaced with house music that somehow fits the game. It's a nice change of pace from consistency of listening to rock, heavy metal, and hip hop, which I don't mind to a certain degree, but I always wanted something different, and this game certainly delivers. And the funny thing is that you can buy the game's soundtrack if you want to. They did release a full soundtrack in 2014, although it's a bit expensive for some odd reason. But I do recommend that you give this game's soundtrack a listen. It is very good.
I'm gonna start jogging soon. I like barbecue.
All in all, I really enjoy this game a lot. But like I said, due to the fact that the game didn't sell and review bombed by androids, it never gotten a sequel, and Namco continued working on the Ridge Racer franchise throughout the years, and R-Racing Evolution was completely forgotten about. In all honesty, I think this game deserves more attention due to the fact that it has a unique, flawed but unique storyline, interesting gameplay mechanics, a really good soundtrack that's one of my favorites, and it's straightforward and all around fun to play. And that's what's been kinda missing when it comes to modern day racing games. Nowadays, it's either you do nothing or they just make it into a shitty live service that doesn't work. What I'm trying to say is that most games are just missing the fun aspect and rather just appeal to people that doesn't know the world about cars and play it safe, and just remove certain things that made racing games fun. And that's why I go back and play older games rather than newer ones. But other than that, would I recommend you that you play this game? The answer to that is yes. You can get it on Amazon or eBay if you want to, or if you live in your mom's basement, you can just emulate it on your PC. But other than that, that's pretty much what I have to say about this game. If you have any games that you would like me to talk about, you can suggest them in the comments section below. But other than that, I think it's time to end. If you've gotten this far into the video, thank you so much for sticking around. I hope to see you all in the near future. 1 like equals 1 hot tub stream. Bye bye.
A shape-shifting psychic nightmare, catching poisonous monkeys.
I will not touch this toy, my wife!